Let's start with some really grim news. Oh, God. You know, I would love to start a podcast one day, and I hope I live long enough to do this and stay on the air long enough to do this. Start a podcast with something like this. Well, the news came down from South Georgia last night that Donald Trump keeled over during one of his lie fests and is dead. Before he hit the pavement, he was dead of a complete massive stroke, coupled with a heart attack, a diabetic failure of his pancreas, and on examination during the postmortem, they found a huge 20-foot worm lodged inside his brain. Trump was here in South Georgia again. When was it? Saturday night? And he always picks places, you know, small towns where a lot of illiterate people can be gathered in to participate in his hate fests, his 2 minutes hate. It's really a sad thing to watch. This one, for some reason, he had a whole bunch of black folk behind him in the stands that they set up for the cameras. You know how Trump talks about the lion media and so on and so forth. And yet, like a good Nazi, he knows exactly how, and so do his handlers, to manipulate the media. But anyway, if you watched any of it, I did not. I saw some film clips. I couldn't avoid it because it's being reported as news by so many news outlets, especially local stations, especially here in Atlanta, which blows my mind. But if you saw any of the video, you saw behind him all kinds of black folk holding up signs that said, I think, if I remember right, it said "Blacks for Trump" or something to that effect. And it was stunning to me. I mean, here is a bona fide Klan sympathizing American Nazi who will destroy every black person in this country given a chance, and whose minions are racist thugs. And yet there were black folks sitting behind him at this rally. I don't know how that happens. I can't get my mind around it. The first thought is they were paid actors. I don't know if these are black folk who honestly believe that Donald Trump is the Messiah. However you want to interpret that word, then these black folk are as disturbed and crazy as Trump is. But I guess there's no racial restrictions on madness. I would just think that somebody who is clinically insane, totally insane and destroying the country, and in that process of destruction will drag black people back to where they were in the 1940s and 1950s, and eventually with the idea of killing them all, executing them all, eliminating them all, suppressing them all. Listen to Tucker Carlson some night on the Fox toilet. He'll tell you about that. And if that's a given, and it is, if you understand Trump's political philosophy and the philosophy of these neo-Nazis, they see blacks the same way the Hitlerians saw Jews. And yet there they were, black folk. Shame on you, shame on you. Oh my God. I don't care how much you were paid, brothers and sisters. Shame on you. So Trump had an interview on One American News, the propaganda outfit, the one I call Onan News. And there's a Nazi thug there named Dan Ball. And he was interviewing the Orange Vomit. This is reported by Brian Stelter on CNN business website. But apparently Trump was in the middle of a bullshit rant about what he calls vicious Democrats cheating on elections. And Trump said this, quote, "They're destroying our country. Our country will not survive this. Our country will not survive." And then he kind of sniffed or made some kind of a noise with his nostril holes and shifted to immigration when he said, quote, look at where they're coming from. Now, what he was talking about was the great replacement theory that these racist fuckheads are all promoting now. Those are talking points that Tucker Carlson has been mainlining into homes across the country. That's what this great replacement theory. I don't know how that's supposed to happen, but I think what it means is the 280 million white people in this country are going to be replaced with 281 million people of color. This is the kind of paranoid bullshit that the Nazis used, that the Soviets, the communists used. This is crazy talk of the highest level crazy talk. Look at where they're coming from. You know, the immigrants, they're coming from countries that are part of this plot to replace white people in this country. Anyway, as Brian points out, and everything that comes out of this garbage hole that Trump calls his mouth, these are all signs of a seriously gathering storm. His incessant lies about the last election. For example, he told Onan News, Biden didn't get 81 million votes. There's no way. But his incessant lies are posing obvious threats to future elections, which is what this is all about. To try to get people to throw up their hands and say, well, fuck it, I'm not going to vote. And then the elections are more easily stolen. This is so serious. Oh my God, this is so serious. I just wish he would keel over dead. Please die, Donald. I mean, seriously, please. You are a scourge. You're a one-person death-dealing pandemic all of your own. You filthy monster. Please be like movie monsters. Just, I don't know, burn up in your castle, something. Please die. Oh, God. And the dumb shit said that the so-called Stop the Steal movement is, his words, racing forward. Totally ignoring that humiliation that a normal person would have felt after the Stop the Steal effort in Arizona went belly up in the worst kind of way. The worst kind of way was they found more votes for Biden and fewer votes for the orange vomit in their forensic audit. Brian writes this. Most of us can feel the instability in the air the same way a weather forecaster can feel a storm coming on. News outlets need to be providing storm warnings, but some are ignoring the threat. Anti-democratic talking points are being paraded across networks like Newsmax, and averting one's eyes doesn't make this parade go away. End quote. Yeah, that's the part that is really scary to me right now, is the fact that normal people are not giving this crazy son of a bitch and what he's saying and what all of his minions and cult followers are saying, the kind of weight, that's all I can think of, the kind of weight that it should have. They are dragging us down. I know it's a theme I keep talking about. I do apologize. I do apologize. Sometimes I sound like a one-trick pony. I understand that. But, the removal of this scum by the last presidential election, did not end his constant stream of vomit that's spreading all over the country. has eaten alive a political party to the point where it's now the Christian Fascist Party, no longer Republican. And where his minions in the House and the Senate, with one or two or maybe three exceptions, are doing for this monster what Monica did for Bill Clinton, only Trump is reciprocating by destroying the country. The right-wing media, so-called, is one giant safe space for the big lie. And it just continues. This is what Hitler talked about. You don't stop with the big lie once you begin. I mentioned this last week. You become the big lie. You live it, you breathe it, you eat it and drink it, which is what Trump and his cult followers have done. There is only one truth out there right now, and that is the big lie. As counterintuitive as that sounds, or as much of an oxymoron or an impossible statement, but there it is. The only truth for so many Americans right now, especially the Christian fascists, the only truth is the big lie. And it's getting worse and worse and worse. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. As you know, we've switched formats and are now broadcast exclusively on the Progressive Voices Network. So that means you get fewer program interruptions, no corporate commercials, and lots of profanity. But our format change also means some of our radio listeners no longer hear the program. It's been a while since I mentioned our podcasts, so you may have forgotten that there is a way to listen to this program anytime you need a good dose of screaming. Visit MikeMalloy.com and subscribe to our podcasts. As a podcast subscriber, you can download the program to your mobile device and take me with you wherever you go. And if you have a friend who needs a dose of truth-seeking, you can give a gift subscription as well. That's MikeMalloy.com, and never miss a minute of the uncensored fun and frivolity.